Welcome viewer to the course of web designing. In this video, I will cover some new input types introduced by HTML5. Example of such input types are date time local, month, time, week, number, range and color. So let's start to cover these input types one by one. The date input type allows a user to select date from a drop-down calendar. The date value includes the year, month and day but not the time, where the date time local input type allows a user to select both date and time. Look at these codes. It shows how to define date and date time local input types. Moreover, you can use the min and max attribute to specify the range of the valid dates. So let's start to implement it practically. I have already defined the structure. So let's start to first define the input type date control. So type birthday input type date. Let's say name of the control is birthday. The next control we want to create, its type is date time local. So type birth day and time input type date time local. Let's say name of the control is birth day time. Now save the file, come to the browser to view its output. Type local host lecture number 09.html. So this is the output. In this control you can select only the date. If you want to change the year, scroll it from here. Let's say we selected the year 2016. Now select the month, let's say July, and 15 July 2016. While in this control you can select date as well as the time. You can specify the min and max attribute to define a range of the valid dates. So we want to specify the min attributes for the date control. The year is 2011, month is January and the first day of January. So this control will not accepting any date which will occur before 1st January 2011. Now save the file, come to the browser, refresh it, click this one, click the year, scroll it. You see only the dates from 2011 are available, while if you want to select any date before 2011, so it will be not available for you in this control. Now let's to study the other control. The input control is also used to allow a user to select a month and year from a drop-down calendar. In such a case, the value of type attribute must be month. Similarly, if the value of type attribute is week, then it is used to select week and year. The input control can be used for entering a time if the value of type attribute is time. With all of the above mentioned three input types, you use the min and max attribute to specify the range of the acceptable values. Now, to practically implement these three controls. So let's start to add these three controls. Type month, input, set type equal to month. Let's name of the control is month. Week, input, set type value to week, name of the control is, let's say it's week, time, input, type equal to time, name of the control time. Now save the file and refresh the browser. So the three controls are added. Here you select the month and year. (2017) July 2017. Select the week of the year, 24 week. The month is June 2020. Similarly, you set time here. The time selection depends on your local setting, that either it is using 24 hours, 4 minutes or 12 hours. So the time is selected. Now to study the number and range input types. The number input type can be used for entering numerical values. You can also restrict the user to enter only acceptable values using the additional attributes min, max and step. Another control for entering numerical value is the input type range. It presents a fancy slider for selecting the values. But one problem with slider is that it doesn't offer any kind of visual feedback about the current value. So you can include an output element to show the current value. So let's add the number and range type input to this code. So type number input type equal to number, let's say name of the control is our number, as the minimum value of the control is 1, while its maximum value is 50. Let its initial value is 15. Now type select price with slider. Input type range, name of the control, input price, let's say its ID is equal to range ID, and let its minimum value is 50 and its maximum value is equal to 500, and let's say its initial value is 150. Now define the output element to display the value. When we select any value with slider, so display that value in this output element. So output, let's say name of the output element is output price. Say ID of this field is output ID. So here the initial value of this control is 150. So also type here 150. Now add this code on input. Now mention here this ID, the ID of the output element, ID dot value equal to this ID or ID dot value. Now save the file, refresh the browser. You see here 15 is the initial value and here 150 is the initial value. So you can select value with these arrows, or you can type directly here while move this slider to change this value. The color input type allow a user to select a color from a color picker, and if you do not specify a value, the default value is black. So this is the general syntax to define a control for color selection. So the input type is color and name of the control is our color. Here I want to show you an example from W3 schools that how one can use input type color field to select a color. So type here w3schools.com. When the page appears, click Learn HTML option and then scroll down to select HTML input types. There are different input types will appear here on the right side. So scroll down to input type color. So this is the input type color. So here an example is given about input type color option. So click this try it yourself button. A next tab will appear. Here the default value given for the color is red. This line defines the color and the value field is this one. It means it's showing the red color. I want to change it to black, so change this FF to 00 and run the code. Now it's showing the black color. When you want to select another color, just click this button. A color picker will appear. Here you can use this slider to select the color you want to apply. I use this. Suppose I want to select this color, or you can use these values red, green and blue to define and select a color, or you can use this HSL hue, saturation and lightness option to define the color, or you can use the hexa code directly here to select a color. So suppose here I want to change this last two digit to FF. So the next color has been appeared. You change another one also, suppose this one. Suppose you want to define DD here. So in this way you can select different types of color, and after selecting the color, there submit button is also given. It means that when if you want to submit this color, so you press the submit button. So thanks for watching this video.